What in the world is going to happen to home prices? Trump's tariffs have been taking effect and people are wondering what's going to happen to the prices, what's going to happen to the market. Well, check out this week's video and you'll find out. There's been a lot of talk about what's going to happen to home prices and are these tariffs going to cause prices to go sky high and who knows what's going to happen to the market? Well, I've got some great information today that I think is going to bring some clarity for you as to whether or not you should be buying a home, what will happen to the home prices. Because here's the truth. Whenever a politician or president makes a decision, you'll see news sources on both sides of the fence saying that it's going to save the world or it's going to end the world. And don't you know that the world's still here after both parties have been in office multiple times? And so I'm gonna do my best today to sort through some of the noise and give you what I feel is the truth about what's coming for home prices and if you should be waiting to buy or sell a home. Okay, so here's what we know for sure. Over time, prices go up, okay? And so sometimes we forget that, but year over year, there's about a 4 to 5% appreciation or increase in home values. So what I can tell you for sure, by the end of this year, it's going to be about 4 or 5% more expensive to buy a home. Now with the tariffs, that costing more for the imported goods, those people that are building those and importing those goods, they're probably going to pass those costs on to the consumers. And so the home builders that are using those supplies, it's going to cost them more, they're going to pass that on to the home buyer. So there's a decent chance that the tariffs are going to cost homes more money now because of those extra expenses that the producers of those goods are going to incur by bringing goods into America. And so with that, how that affects pre-existing, so that affects new construction, right? Well, if new construction homes are going to go up maybe disproportionately a little bit more than the average 4 to 5% every year, then there's going to be people that were considering new construction that are now going to be considering pre-existing instead, which means there's going to be more demand for pre-existing homes, which means there is a potential for a greater than 4 to 5% increase in homes on the pre-existing side as well. And so, as I see it, the tariffs probably do create some increases to housing costs. But here's the whole point of it, right? Like, the point of putting these tariffs into place, now whether you believe it will happen or not, right? But the president's not an idiot. He is trying to do what he thinks is best for the country. He is a solid business person. Now whether you agree with his ethics or not, I'm not saying that, but he knows how to grow a business. He knows numbers, he knows finances. And so in implementing these tariffs, the goal is that the economy would approve. Now tariffs go into place overnight and economies rebuild and strengthen over longer periods of time. So there's probably a gap there where it takes from what those costs of goods went up to where the economy improves enough to where we're stronger in the economy and it kind of begins to be a wash, right? There's probably a gap there for that happening, so the economy may need to catch up to the impact the tariffs had. But that's the goal of these tariffs, is to improve the economy, right? For the United States, for Americans. Now, whether you agree with him or whether you think it's going to happen or not, that's what's supposed to happen, okay? I'm not making any political statements. But if that happens, then we're going to see a net wash. And I really think that the economy improving is going to offset what the prices will increase in housing costs. There may be a bit of a gap there, but that's my opinion on what's going to happen to home prices. All right, now let's answer the question, should you be waiting to buy or sell a home? Great question. To answer it, let's look back at a not too distant past, the COVID years, to get a better perspective on the decision that we should be making right now. So over in the COVID years, home prices increased 30 to 50%. Now, I definitely do not see that happening with these tariffs, right? This was a completely different economic event with people being at home and interest rates being low, but guess what also happened during that time? The cost of materials went up, right? And so we saw some similar things happen back then, but rates were significantly lower, right? Like half or more than what we're seeing today. And so what happened for people that were waiting then, because there was multiple offers, there was all kinds of things happening that made it really difficult to even get into a house if you were even trying at certain price points. I'm thinking about the $150,000 price point. I had a number of buyers in that price point that were looking for their first time home. They were trying to get in to a home, and some of them just couldn't compete, and then some of them just decided that they wanted to wait. And for those who waited, they're no longer able to afford a home anymore. Now, outside of them like significantly increasing their income, if they just were getting their 3% raise or so every year in whatever job they were working, they're not able to buy a home anymore for the foreseeable future, right? I mean, without some kind of market crash happening. And if the market crashes, well then guess what? Most people are not going to be in a situation to buy a home because conditions are not going to be right. They're going to be concerned about losing their jobs. They're going to be concerned about what's going to happen in the economy. And depending on where rates are at that point, it's probably not an ideal situation for most people to buy a home at that point anyways. For the conditions to be such that prices would go really low, many people would still not be buying a home. So if you're waiting for the magical time of when home prices are going to go low again and you're going to get lower interest rates, that's fairyland. That time doesn't exist. And you're costing yourself now by waiting, believing some report online or believing some mythical idea that maybe things will get better, where everything will be perfectly. It's just not going to happen. If you want to buy a home, you need to make decisions now to put yourself in a place so that you can do that. And if that means you've got to get a different certificate or degree or whatever to increase your income so you can buy a home, it's the number one decision of influencing wealth for your family and the generations after you, is owning a home. It really is. And so whether you need to take steps to do that or whether you just need a sober dose of reality to realize, okay, interest rates stink, I'm not excited about prices, but there's the old adage that when's the best time to buy a home? It's 5 years ago, right? Could you imagine 5 years ago what prices were? I'd love to buy a home then. But what's the second best time to buy a home? Right now. Even though conditions aren't ideal and not everything is right, I'm telling you that you're going to be in a way better position if you'll fast forward and see yourself 5 years from now. You look back and been like, man, I wish I'd have bought a home when Jim was telling me that I needed to get out into the market. Because 5 years from now, they're going to be even more expensive. Even at just the 4 to 5% increase, right? And again, for those of you thinking that prices are going to come down and it's going to be better, well, in order for that prices to get there, the conditions have to exist such that the economy is going to be not good. And there's going to be tons of things happening in the world or in the economy that created this situation that got us to lower prices that you're probably not going to want to buy a home then. And you're going to say, I think I'm going to wait. I'm telling you, waiting is the wrong move. So if you're thinking about buying a home and you're wondering if the tariffs are going to affect that and how it's going to be, let's have a conversation. Or whoever it is that you know that works in real estate that is smart enough to have this conversation with you and sells a good amount of homes, talk to them. And have this conversation, because the longer that you wait, you're either going to get priced out of home that you can't afford one, or you won't be able to afford the type of home that maybe your family needs or longs for and wants to be in one day. The sooner you make that happen, the better. Now again, if your family situation it's not the right time for your family to move, then don't rush out and do something. But if you're waiting for the market conditions to get right, or for some fairy tale chance in the future when things get better and everything is ideal and you get to sell a home for a high price and buy it for a low price, right? All these things in our mind that it's this or it's that. You just need to make the decision to do the thing and watch as God begins to align things for you. I don't know if you're a believer or not when you're watching this, but I am, and I've just seen too many times where people have stepped out in faith, right? You can use wisdom. You need to get pre-approved. You need to have a conversation to make sure this is the right time for you. But when you step out and take steps of faith, you'll just see how God will open doors for you. And things that seemed impossible all of a sudden become possible. ways that you didn't see were there all of a sudden begin opening up. And so I'm telling you, if you're waiting for a home, it's not the right move. My name is Jim Hare, and I hope you appreciated this video. I went a little bit in on some things that I wouldn't normally do, but I think I'm actually going to probably start doing that more often. And so I hope this video has blessed you. I hope it's given you some good wisdom and hopefully some clarity as to what's happening in the market right now and what we can expect from Trump's tariffs. If you've been considering buying or selling a home, we need to have a conversation. Shoot me a text, give me a call. The number will follow right after this video towards the end. Let's have a conversation about how we can put things in order so that if you need or are wanting to make a move, we can put you in the best situation possible under the current market conditions to get you into that new home. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you and have an amazing day.